Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. I hope you're doing well, and if you're not, I hope you are soon. Okay, today I am I'm revisiting Bloodborne, the board game from Simon. And this is a game that a couple of people have asked me to take a look at again to revisit to see if my opinion of the game has changed at all. And unfortunately, I am still really frustrated with this game. Usually when I'm revisiting games, sometimes I'm revisiting a game to see if I still love it, to see if all of the positive things that drew me to the game in the first place are still there, and is it a game that is still bringing me joy? Sometimes, with the case of Bloodborne, I am revisiting a game to see if it still frustrates me and if it is one that should leave my collection just because it is not providing me with fun. And unfortunately for me, that is the case with Bloodborne. I just find the game too frustrating and too stressful. I think it is a pretty well-made game, and there is a lot that I like about it, and that's why it frustrates me so much. So in this scenario here, I am playing as two hunters. I am playing with the Blade of Mercy weapon and the Kirk Hammer weapon. The Kirk Hammer was one of my favorite weapons in the video game. I think that was the first weapon that I beat the game with. Absolutely love that weapon. I love transforming it into the giant hammer. In the video game, I never really liked the Blades of Mercy. They were just kind of too weak, I thought. I like in the Souls games, I like the big, powerful kind of F-off weapons, like the big giant clubs and hammers and that kind of stuff. But and the mission I am playing is the Secrets of the Church. And this is, I believe, kind of like maybe the third or fourth scenario, or not scenario, but campaign in the base game. So this is the introduction to the Secrets of the Church campaign is the Healing Church, while not formally affiliated with the Hunters, remains one of our strongest allies. Located in the district known as the Cathedral Ward, access is often barred at nights when the hunt is called. This night, however, the great bells of the Grand Cathedral toll without end, ominous, as well as communication from within the ward has ceased. With such strange events, you have been dispatched by the workshop to investigate. So this is one of my favorite moments in the game, when you are exploring Yharnam and you come across the bridge. And at the end of the Great Bridge, normally there is an entrance into the area of Cathedral Ward, into the area where the church is, but that has been barred off. So you have to go around, I think, through like the Tomb of Odin, and you have to find a back way into that area. And that's kind of like what this scenario here is simulating. So from a story standpoint, from a lore standpoint, this is one thing I really like about the game. Another thing that I really do like is I love the campaign system. I like how it is a short campaign that you can play in a few sittings. I like how these cards, how these various campaign cards, how they add different things. They change the game as you are playing. They are constantly kind of introducing wrinkles into the system. For instance, at the very beginning, this is pretty much probably the first quarter of the first chapter here. I'm either trying to find the Great Bridge or find the courtyard lamp, and in a movement on one of those spaces to reveal more cards. And that's going to kind of trigger some certain things that are happening. And right now I have 2 insight missions. My main goal in this hunt mission here, to access the Cathedral Ward, I need to complete 2 insight missions. So I've found 2 insight missions. One is to deal with the church servants, which are these guys here, some of my favorite enemies from the game. I absolutely love these dudes. They were so cool and creepy. Great minis too. And so I need to kill 3 of these guys in order to get an insight. And then I did find the Great Bridge here, and with the Great Bridge there is a horde of hunters, of rival hunters, and they're congregating on the Great Bridge, and I need to destroy them in order to gain another piece of insight. And so those are my two main missions right now in order to successfully move past this first hunt mission. So I love the way the campaign's set up. I love all the different enemies. So I have the base Kickstarter with 2 expansions. What is it? Murgo's Wet Nurse, that expansion, and the Hunter's Dream expansion. And with all of that content, I've got a ton of different enemies. And I love how the enemies, their cards have 2 different sides, so you can get some variety. The enemies all feel different. There are mini bosses and NPC enemies. There's a lot going on for this game. I really do like the upgrade system, how it's a little bit of a deck builder, and you can upgrade your deck by spending your hard-earned experience points, your blood echoes, to add these really cool abilities to your deck. And I also love just how everything looks. It has a really nice look. It has a good presence on the table. The colors are cool. It feels like the video game as far as the way it looks and the way it feels, but unfortunately I don't like the way it plays, and I find it really, really stressful. There's a really tight economy to the game where you have to balance your actions with how many cards you have. One house rule that I did find on BGG and I did like, and I have been employing, and I'm liking the game a little better with that. They were calling it adventure mode. And instead of a hand of 3 cards, you play with a hand of 4 cards. And that's a pretty easy balance, a pretty easy house rule to play with. That makes the game a little easier. It's kind of, and it lessens it makes the economy not quite as tight because you have more actions to take on your turn, more actions to take in between those dreaded red nodes on the hunt track. Because as you take turns, this marker starts moving up, and every time you pass one of these red nodes, you have to reset the board, and that's when the enemies come back out. So it has this reset mechanism that's kind of like the video game, but not exactly. Because in the video game, you were always in control of when those enemies respawned. Anytime you rested at a lantern, anytime you wanted to heal or gain some of your items back or go back to the Hunter's Dream to level up, that's when the enemies would respawn. But in the board games, enemies respawn just as you take turns. And I'm not a fan of that system at all. I also don't like how the game ends arbitrarily at the end of this track here. It just doesn't really make any sense to me. There's not really a thematic reason why the game needs to end there. I kind of feel like they were patching a self-inflicted wound by having to add some kind of arbitrary game over situation, a game over scenario to make this a board game. And I get it. I know that a lot of people really enjoy this game and they like that tight economy of actions and turns and combat. They like the tough decisions you have to make where you can't explore everything, where you have to decide which enemies you're going to fight, which enemies you're going to run from. They like the stress of like the wind coming down to that last turn. They like the feeling of putting together a really good combo and solving the puzzle on the board, the combat puzzle on the board. I totally get that. I know people really enjoy that. And I was hoping that maybe I could approach the game differently and come at it on its own terms to try to enjoy the game more. But I just can't. It stresses me out too much. I kind of sit here with analysis paralysis of what I'm supposed to do, and I end up just not wanting to play the game. And I'm really bummed out by that because, like I said, there are a lot of things that I do enjoy about the game. One of my main issues and one of the hardest things I find about this game, and this is a situation set up right here, it doesn't offer the same kind of feeling as the video game, even though a lot of it is similar. And here's what I mean. Bloodborne, the video game, more so than any of the other From Software games, completely rewards the player for being super offensive, for taking the fight to the enemy. There is a system in the game called, I think it's called Regain. I can't remember the exact name, but when you are fighting and your hunter takes damage, if you if you damage the enemy right after in a certain time window, a certain frame of time, if you do more damage to the enemy, then you get to heal some of your damage back. And the video game is all about being super aggressive and not playing defensively. As a matter of fact, in the video game, when you pick up one of the only shield items, it talks about, how the hunters should not be relying upon defense for their mission. And that kind of flies in the face of a lot of the From Software games where playing turtling and shielding up and getting, playing defensively is not only a viable strategy, but for a first-time player, it's often the best way to play those games. The board game of Bloodborne, I don't think rewards being super aggressive. It rewards playing more defensively and avoiding combat for the most part, or knowing when to avoid combat. And the combat is the best part of the game. And so I don't feel like I'm really encouraged to engage with the best part of this game, because the combat is really, really good. Playing your action cards on your different combo spots, building up combos, transforming your weapon to the other side to clear off those cards to give you more chances to do cooler things, combining these with your various items, like the various consumable items that can allow you to draw more cards or to do more damage or to affect tiles in different ways, and getting your hunter's tools and getting all of your Carol runes to help augment your character. There's a lot of fun to be had in the combat in this game, but I always feel like I'm being punished by engaging in it. And one of those has to do with how stingy the movement is. Because if I'm right here, for one action card, you can move 2 spaces. So you can move 2. But then to engage with this enemy, you need to be in their same space. So you have to move again. And if you're playing rules as written, that only leaves you with 1 card to attack with. And that's not going to be good. So you're better off not moving really and just having the enemies that you need to kill, because I need to kill these guys for the insight. You're better off just standing still, playing defensively, holding onto your cards and letting the enemies come to you. But that wastes a lot of time. So I don't like that, because when I'm thinking of Bloodborne, I'm thinking of being super aggressive, of taking the fight straight to the enemy always. And the board game is just offering up a different side of that. And I get it. It needed to do certain things to be a board game, and they chose to go down a certain path, and they made a game that a lot of people like. They made a very puzzly kind of defensive playing game with a tight economy, but that's just not what I am looking for when I'm thinking of playing a game of Bloodborne. So I was really hoping to like this game more. As I was setting it up, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, man, I forgot how much cool stuff this game has. I forgot, all of the different abilities and the fun weapons and all the variety of enemies is really high, and they all play differently. And there's so many really cool things to like. And I was really excited. I got set up, and then I started playing, and then I hit that first red node where things reset. And I was just like, nope, I find this game too stressful. I'm not good at it. So that's another thing, I've never really grokked the game. It's never been one that has come easy to me. I'm always struggling with the game. And I have too many other cool games to play to keep one in my collection that I am struggling with. So I have decided to sell my Bloodborne collection, and I'm going to add that to the sell pile and probably just take that over to the local game store, because I do most of my selling at a local game store. So, all right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed taking a look at revisiting Bloodborne. I hope you're not too disappointed that the game isn't for me. I hope I presented enough information so you could tell if the game is one for you, if it's one that you are going to enjoy. So take it easy. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.